Well, hello again, wonderful followers. Welcome new followers and welcome again existing followers who contribute so much to this page. I really appreciate you all. I'm going to package up a bit of a video here about commuting around Malta. I'm getting a number of messages from people. Some are a little bit concerned, a bit confused. Did we need to pre-book this, pre-arrange that? What about buses? What about ferries? How about getting here, etc.? So guys, a deep breath and relax, because as I've often said on this page, Malta is very different to many other destinations that you've been to around Europe. It's quite easy and there's quite a number of diverse options. You ain't going to have any trouble getting around our beautiful Malta. Let me first talk about the extremely sensational, efficient, reliable ferry service from Valletta. Now, people who are staying in Valletta, in Sliema, Gzida, St. Julian's, or nearby, all the three cities, there is a wonderful ferry service from Valletta. There are two. And one goes from Valletta to Sliema. It leaves Valletta and it's disembarking in Sliema within 15 minutes. And 15 minutes later, it is back at Valletta. So if you get down to Sliema to the ferry terminal and the ferry's just sailed off, don't be alarmed. Relax, go and get a drink or a coffee or a pastis, because that ferry will be back there in about 20-25 minutes. So this facility, there is exactly the same one going from Valletta to the very new ferry terminal at the three cities, which is sort of where Bormala, just before where Bormala meets Birgu, or Cospicua meets Vittoriosa, for those who prefer modern terminology. It's wonderful. Now, this ferry service is great. So every half hour, each one leaves Valletta and is back there. Passage is only about 6 minutes. By the time they load up, do the travel, disembark, within 15 minutes, they're leaving again, returning to Valletta. And it's Valletta to Sliema and Valletta to the three cities. It's so good. How cheap is it? A single voyage, €1.50 for an adult, €2.80 for a return ticket. It's pretty cheap. For children, for those over 60, for ID card holders and blue badge holders, it is 50 cents per trip for a single, 90 cents for a return trip. Okay, this is pretty damn cheap. If you're staying in any of these areas I've talked about and you're going to be using this ferry a lot, spending time in Valletta, Sliema and so on, swimming at Baluta Bay, €10 will give you a ticket for 1 week, unlimited use. Get on and off the ferries whenever you want. Tell you what, that's pretty darn good value. The ferry service, I use it very often. It's wonderful. We go to Valletta now. We don't even, half the time we don't even drive in. We go from our place in Marsa Scala to the three cities. It's 6 minutes by car. No problem parking there, ever. And we hop on the ferry. It's an outing. It's an extra outing. Lovely cafe there near the terminal. We go and get our pastizzi or maybe a mochaccino. Or if it's particularly hot early in the morning, I might even sneak in a bit of a cold shandy. But anyway, talk about buses. Many of you who don't want to drive are going to use buses. Bus system is pretty good. You don't have to take it from me. On many of my posts, people comment that they've just returned, that they exclusively use the buses, that it was a great service and so on and so forth. Yes, there's going to be accidents. Yes, there's going to be delays. Yes, there's going to be breakdowns. There are so many buses getting around the island. We're going to expect a problem now and then. A daytime ticket one way, €2.50, 2 hours gets you anywhere on a bus. Okay? €2.50. Night, €3. So if you are staying in Sliema, as an example, and you want to go and spend a day at Adira Bay in Maliha, you can figure out which route, hop on a bus for $2.50. You're going to get there within 2 hours. Get there, beautiful. Way back, $2.50 if it's during the day. If it's evening, it's €3. That's okay. That's a pretty cheap way to get around. You don't have to worry about parking, hiring a car, where I'm going to park, all of that, fuel. That's pretty good. Now, Tallinea, which runs the company that runs the buses, the government department, Tallinea website, Linja, Linea. You can get an Explore card, which this is really good value. €25 for a 7-day card for an adult. You can have unlimited use of buses, hop on, hop off, any day, any time of day, or night, whenever you want. This is darn cheap. €25, €7 for a child. So if you're a family going to Malta for 2 weeks and you don't want to drive, an adult, you can spend €50 each for 2 weeks. 25 times 2, it's €100. You got a couple of kids, got a couple of kids cards. Pretty cheap, unlimited use of buses all around the islands. That's damn cheap. You can purchase, of course, any of these Talinia cards for €6. You'll get unlimited credit on the card, which you can, you'll get a €6 credit for immediate use. And then you can top up the card as you go, either using the phone app or one of the vendors, the machines, etc., etc. You can also buy 12 single-day journey cards for the buses at €21. As I say this, it started raining here in freezing cold Melbourne. It's a pretty good system between the buses and the ferries. I don't use the buses often, but I do use them every trip. I do use the ferry service often. And of course, for anyone else who doesn't want to drive, taxis. Now, the actual taxi service isn't that cheap, but most people are going to use Uber, eCab, or Bolt. Bolt is cheap, man. So is Uber. I've got the Bolt app on my phone. If I'm going to go somewhere for a festa, might have a few drinks, might go to dinner where I'm thinking, you know what, I don't really want to drive tonight. I'm just going to get a Bolt. Let's go. It's pretty cheap. And in all honesty, I've never encountered a driver who was rude or arrogant or did not know their way around. Or I've never encountered anyone who wasn't, fluent in English or anything like that. Yes, they're all foreign. Well, they're not all, but most of them are foreigners, the ones I've dealt with, the Uber drivers or the Bolt drivers. It's been a pleasurable experience for me that I highly recommend. So really, if you're going to go to Malta and not hire a car, and I probably wouldn't hire a car if I was going to go to Malta for a couple of weeks. If I was going to go for maybe 3 weeks or longer, I would consider it. We always hire a car because we're always there for 5, 6, 3 to 8 weeks. And a car does get me anywhere. Malta, Gozo, anywhere I want. But I would be going there, if I'm going there for up to a couple of weeks, very, very confident I'm not going to have any problems getting around. So guys, enjoy. Don't stress. It's much easier to travel and commute and enjoy Malta than it is a lot of other European destinations. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on the Travel Malta page. Otherwise, maybe I'll see you there very soon. Not long for me. I'm excited. Bye-bye.